So Graham, thanks ever so much for giving up your time today to have a little chat about your research into bowling actions, what you found out, how your research has progressed, how it's changed and how it's developed. First of all, could you just introduce to me what it is that your research is and how it came about, if that's okay?
It came about, I have a son who was a very keen fast bowler from the age of 11, and he was very talented and played club cricket and adult cricket as an opening bowler at 14, but continued to have all sorts of injuries, side strains, pulled muscles, all that sort of thing. And in later time, he then had a stress fracture of the fibula, which is an unusual injury. So I decided I would try and get him professional help, which he did. While certain things were resolved, the injuries continued to happen. And being an experienced coach of many years, I decided there must be an answer. I didn't hold to the fact that all injuries to fast bowlers are inevitable. And as I researched, I went back 140 years to bowlers, and what I found was quite one of those light bulb moments.
Light bulb moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with that, Graham, I mean, you've brought the research to life, in my opinion. I've been very fortunate in having been able to work alongside you in the last couple of years and seen your research and what is now known as the rule develop. And hence what brings us here today. I'd like to find out a little bit more about exactly what it is that you found out and how it works and how it can benefit the rest of us, because I've seen it in action. How would you say your research, how would you capture your research? What is it?
Right. Well, I researched Malcolm Marshall, and they said he had a front-on action. Basically, the whole time of his action was chest on. There are 4 actions according to the world, the coaching world: front on, side on, midway, and mixed. I then took over 1,000 photos, stills, and I went back to Pathé News, back to the 1900s, and took stills from those. And what I found was that there was 1930s in the body line, there was a bowler called Sir Gubby Allen, who was a fast bowler at the time, and he refused to bowl a body line because he was an amateur. And then when he retired, he wrote the MCC coaching book. And on that coaching book, he said, this is the perfect side-on action. And there was a famous writer called Sir Neville Cardus, who was a very famous author at the time. She said he had the perfect action. And then I took stills of him, and then I had this light bulb moment. I discovered that at back foot contact, he landed front on. I thought, this is strange. So I then thought, there must be lots of others. So
That's what started your research, was
yes,
that moment?
At that moment.
I'm John Bowers. I'm the operations manager here at Tom Flowers Cricket Coaching.
I'm Xavier Wildsmith, I'm 16 years old. I'm Peter Edwards, and my son Hayden has been learning fast bowling with Graham and Tom Flowers coaching. At the end of last season, he started to get injuries. He had a problem with his knee injury. He could barely walk or run or play any other sport. And we sort of found the problem to be his bowling, more to do with his follow through and the way he was just finishing his actions. So after speaking to Tom, he introduced us to Graham.
So the 12 o'clock rule is a safe bowling action that we have devised here under Graham's research. We teach to all the bowling students that come in to see us with a real focus on alignment and a straight pull that our research has shown leads to a safe bowling action and prevents injury.
Yeah, 12 o'clock rule is something that Graham's obviously researched lots into, and it's aiming to try to prevent bowlers from serious injuries like stress fractures, which can put them out of the game for a long time and be long lasting in their careers. It's helped me to sort of get clarity that looking at my action, what I need to change, or is it safe, is it not safe, and knowing that now I'm unlikely to get an injury like a stress fracture that put me out for a long period of time.
So what motivated you to carry on at that point? Why did you get the bit between your teeth to carry on researching? Because I think it's fascinating what you've found out from there.
The whole research, I wanted to help my son to have the correct action. And if I could help to make him safe, all the better. I had no idea. When I first came to you, I think it's over 2.5 years ago, I said all bowlers, it looks from my research that they do the same thing. And I found that Malcolm Marshall and Darren Goff, who is a classic side-on action, and Fred Trueman, who they say had the perfect side-on action. When I aligned the photographs against each other, they were identical. So I thought, this is strange, they're identical. And then after about a year, and I had another light bulb moment when I was coaching with you, I found they were the same but a different sequence. And then I decided to look at the top half. And what I found that was, if you look off the top half, the bottom half looks after the self. So there are only 2 actions, and they're both identical, apart from back foot contact, which is one where the back foot lands going straight down the wicket, or side on, which is parallel to the crease when they land. And from that, I found that the load, where we talk about the gather, the gather where your hand behind is not at the crease when the back foot lands, it is back as the bowler gets into the crease. So it's in what we call hang time. We're actually in the air. And all the bowlers, whether they're front on or side on, and including spinners, I have to say, they're identical.
Would you say that's where you talk about the sequence?
Yes.
Would you say that's where, for the first time ever, in that hang time and the load and the gather, that's where your realisation that the sequence was a slightly different? Yeah.
And then it also told me we've been teaching is wrong, and they're all the same. And all the drills that are done at the moment are done when the back foot lands, but the whole action starts at the beginning. And if you get the gather correct, and one of the things I found, I've called it the 12 o'clock rule for good reason, is the 12 o'clock line is from the shoulder, not across to the batsman. And if you cross that line, the arm, which is critical, all bowlers are taught to present the ball to you, Tom.
One of the first
You're
things,
the batsman.
One of the first things we told as coaches is to
Right.
present the ball to the batter.
But if I may stand from here, the arm will go back here because the rotation of the shoulder is an ellipse. It's the same with batting, by the way. It doesn't go straight up and down. It goes round in the ellipse. So what I found is you present it for what I would call 12 o'clock plus 2 or 3. Over there, the arm will go back. And if you look at all the great fast bowlers, and there's one in particular called Jeff Thompson, his arm was almost behind him from the sight screen.
Legendary, really.
And his back foot was almost pointing in a direction. And they say he was a freak. Well, I found a chap called Cotter, Tubby Cotter, that's an interesting name, in the 1900s, and he landed front on and he was identical. So that was one thing. So I thought, well, that's good, I've got that. And then I looked very closely at all these bowlers that was no recorded stress fracture. And I found that the way what we call using the front arm was critical. And I found actually, we all know it as coaches as the pull. Well, actually it isn't, because when you're about to bowl, it has already taken place in front of you. So it's a bit like a catapult. But if you pull it to the side, as at present, you get a twisting and a lateral back flexion. Now, at the moment, the boffins say that stress fractures and lateral flexion with your head is inevitable. It's just lessening. Well, I found that the great bowlers had very minimal actions, and then I proceeded to coach my son with the pull, and he's in a lot of my research and pictures. And he pulls just like Darren Gough, Malcolm Marshall, and all the great bowlers. And he hasn't had an injury, serious injury, bowling. He's gone and broken his hand, fielding, etc. He hasn't had a serious injury. It is so simple. And one of the things that I mentioned earlier about the rule, the alignment is to fine leg. All the great bowlers had an alignment. I'm not saying
when you say alignment to fine leg, what's that? What does that look like?
The run up, at the back of your run up, the whole line is towards fine leg. Now there were
we told the bowler should run in straight, for example.
And if you're straight, it is almost impossible for somebody who lands front on at back foot contact to get round in the gather. And what I have found coaching for you with young lads, many of them do it naturally, but being young bodies, they're more flexible. But if you're coaching the rule to 15, 16-year-olds, you're not so much flexible as you perhaps should be. And there's something I'd like to go on about strength and conditioning. Perhaps we can talk about that in a minute. But the alignment is absolutely crucial to find that. And if you look at all the great bowlers, Marshall took it to an extreme. But if I think of an analogy to a baseball pitcher, in fact, his leg,
their knee gets up, don't they, for a baseball pitch? That's
and,
what I was
and
thinking.
it goes almost at right round,
Almost parallel to themselves,
yes. But if he's facing the thing, his front foot lands dead straight. It's a myth that if your leg is across, it will be across your body when it lands. The reverse happens if you are too straight and you front on, the leg splays out. There are some anomalies. And one of the things I would like to point out, it doesn't mean to say you're not a great bowler, but it means you're not a safe bowler.
It's interesting that he looks back over the 1950s and before about how bowlers would bowl for hours, they'd bowl for hours and hours, and they'd bowl for years and years, have little injury, and there's usually found a commonality between them.
If you look back at all the great fast bowlers throughout history, they all have one thing in common, and that is the alignment to fine leg and pulling their front arm in straight. Now, at some point in modern day coaching, that front arm has been lost, and we are teaching people to pull out to the side, which, in our opinion, we are quite literally coaching stress fractures. So we have found, like we say, a theme of safer, but also, actually, our bowlers are bowling quicker. They are swinging the ball. So you can almost consider it a throwback to the eras of, the Thompsons, etc. So some of the great fast bowlers. And this is, like I say, this has worked for us so far.
Like a lot of my sessions, I walk in there and Graham will have like sheets of paper with all the great bowlers that have done the bits that we're looking to add to my action right and how it should look, and telling me that, this person obviously gets this speed and did this sort of skill like swinging the ball late and whatnot. And also breaking down my action and showing the parts that I pull correctly, which obviously means I'm more likely to be safe, and because there's less twisting in my action that cause the sort of stress fractures that we're looking to prevent.
What intrigues me, just coming back to the name of the 12 o'clock rule, so your reference point is 12 o'clock on the clock face for people watching this that haven't sort of got that, gathered that yet, and therefore you find you can use that 12 o'clock as a reference point to how you coach the rule. What fascinates me is, as a coach, not necessarily as someone who's researched this in depth, is when you came to me and said, Tom, this is what I've been looking at. I really think I've got something here. What do you think? Straight away, as coaches, we're always looking for answers and we're always looking to find the next way of solving something. You're like a problem solver as a coach. And my expertise isn't bowling coaching, and therefore I'm often open to different ideas, how things work. And the two things that struck me about your research, Graham, was that for the first time ever, I felt that you were really brave to get away from the bottom half obsession that we see with the coaches that are out there at the moment in the coaching world. The second thing that I really enjoyed about your research is how simple and accessible it's been made to both the people that you coach, the coaches that you've explained it to, and therefore the results and the impact we've seen on the players that we've worked with. I've been amazed at how, because you've not engaged with the high level of academia and the long words and the, how can I put it? You almost make, I think some of the research out there is so complex that it kind of loses its meaning, because you spend half the time working out what it is the person's actually saying. Yours is very, very relatable, and you can understand it. It's simple. I've found it simple to understand.
Yes.
I don't know what you think on that.
Well, there are several reasons. I am autistic, which means I take everything as literal, black and white. I see things as they are. And I don't know if you agree, but I've been coaching a long time, and I don't think it would have been found unless you had a 70-year-old coach who's autistic and can see things as they are.
So the purpose of the rule. What is your purpose with the rule? You said about keeping bowlers safer. Are there any more purposes that you...
Well, a first purpose rule is to get kids, adults playing the game. 99% of people do not play professionally or minor county. I just want people to enjoy bowling and playing. If you think about it, unless you've got bowlers, you haven't got batsmen, you haven't got a game of cricket.
It's more enjoyable if you're on the park.
Oh, absolutely. It's cheap, it's simple. People are trying to do the right thing. I wouldn't question people.
Intentions.
Yeah. Absolutely not. But it's costing lots of money, and also, to be frank, they're getting nowhere. And these young bowlers, yes, they may bowl faster, but in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time, they will break down.
Can I just, one thing that has really amazed me in the last year or two is you have actively told me which bowlers, almost like you can see into the future, but you have told me that without correct application of your rule from your research, which bowlers will develop career injuries, and I have seen you have a pretty good return rate with that. Could you give a couple of names that you've noticed from your research?
If you don't mind, I've got a funny story. I've got 2 cricketers, my son and my daughter plays, and recently she's been sending me messages. Oh, look, you told me there's Gibson, there's a lady called Kirsty Gordon who's just come back. She's a spinner right there. It affects all bowlers because spin bowlers have the same rule. One of the England bowlers, Oliver Stone, he's already had a couple. And I said, he's going to have another one. It's going to keep happening. Archer, the first time he had it, I said to you, it'll carry on because he breaks the no-nos. But there are some bowlers who break the rule but pull correctly, and this is crucial. My son, perhaps, presentation isn't spot on, but he pulls so well, he mitigates, so the arm still comes from behind him.
So a bit like other areas of coaching, if you get enough things right, you're saying that the rule doesn't have to be perfect. It's just about getting enough things right.
Very soon, within the first couple of times of meeting him and working with him, he'd actually identified what the problem was, and it was to do with follow through. It was to do with the way his upper body was twisting around and putting pressure on his knee. And luckily, a few sessions after that, he'd actually taught him what he calls the 12 o'clock method, which is more upright on the upper body.
So by aligning the bowling action to fine leg and pulling down straight towards the batsman, you prevent any of the twisting in the lower back that we see in a huge amount of modern day bowling actions, which tends to lead to stress fractures, knee damage, hamstring injuries, and so far, touch wood, none of our bowlers have picked up an injury since implementing the rule.
So your body's not pushing over and putting strain and pressure on your back or your knees, your legs. And obviously he's only 12, so it's really going to help him when he grows.
You know, we have young bowlers, you know, aged 10, 13, 15, who within the space of an hour have changed their bowling actions and have really started to nail down the fundamentals. You know, last week at our Oakham residential, we had kids that had really gone a long way to mastering it by the end of the 4 days.
I've worked with Tom bowling for probably around 6 or 7 years now, but I only started using Graham Octoberish time this year, and I found it's come a long way, even in a short space of time. Even now my bowling action's pretty much muscle memory, so it's harder to make these changes, but it's helping me slowly get there. And obviously him telling me what each change will do obviously gives me the motivation to know that this will cause this and help me more.
So that takes me on to my next question. I bring a 15-year-old into this interview chat we're having today, and I hand you that player and say, off you go and coach the rule. Having your rule and research is one thing. How you coach it is what interests me, and no doubt coaches that are watching it. How do you coach the rule, Graham?
Right. I've obviously, as an individual coach, got it in my head, and I get bowlers to bowl. And then I assess and analyse. I'm one of these people, I don't need to video, but I accept everybody else does. I can see it. And you've seen me work, and I don't have all these drills and all this and hop on, because it doesn't relate to what you do. And what people don't understand is most bowlers, especially youngsters, have got it right. Maybe pretty much right. And they just need a bit of tweaking here and there. And their arm might need to come round a bit more, they might need to pull. And what I have found, coaching with you, in January, there was a 7-year-old, 7, who had a perfect action, never in his life. And one of the things that I think that's happened is you never took a baby to talk, Tom. It learns to talk. So it's a DNA of bowlers. We're bowling 140 years, and up until 1980, everybody copied the boys. Now they've got no one to copy, so they're copying Chinese when they actually speak English, if that makes sense.
So inevitably we've, as coaches, gone down the rabbit hole of thinking that it should be coached a certain way, and therefore inevitably intervening when we don't need to intervene. What you're saying is that a bit like side on, front on's been being coached, there's enough players already doing this out there. Half the problem is we don't know when to leave them players alone. It's as much about coaching them to get it right as it is to know when to leave them alone. Is that what you're saying?
I've several times, you've seen me coach, I have solved a problem in 5 to 10 minutes. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you've seen it happen. And we have a young lad who's 16, playing in the pathway. And I looked at it and thought, you've got fantastic pull. Maybe one or two things other. And I asked him, well, actually I told him, you've never had an injury, have you? And he said, no. And we're at a residential today, Tom. And we're starting with a new people, and I saw a young lad, I don't know how old he is, 12, 13, in a white top, so it was easy to see. I thought, oh my goodness, he got the perfect pull. Absolutely perfect. The other things stink, so I know he's safe. And I said to him, you never aches and pains? No, he said, I'm fine. And I suspect that if that lad went in the pathway a bit later on, he'd be told to do it this way because that's what everybody's told to
Change what's not broken.
Yeah, I mean...
So if a bowler's already doing the rule, can I ask this? If a bowler's already doing the rule, in your opinion, are they the complete bowler? How do they get better if they are already doing the rule? Are there other things that we need to be looking at with these players?
Well, what I have found from doing the rule, I've now, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, looking at the bottom half.
Yeah. So
And what I have found is they think at the moment it's ground forces front foot block. There is no such thing. It is a back foot, and if you have your front leg at back foot contact high, you get this stretch, your arms are stretching the range, and that is where the speed comes from, because once the arm comes in, you got this effect. The range and the speed, yes, run up gets you rhythm, speed of run up, but it isn't where you run at full pelt. And what's happening now, people are bowling through their actions. They're so obsessed landing the front foot, the back foot is coming forward too much, so you're losing all this power. And we did a residential last week with a young lady who had a good little action. And actually, I didn't spot it. One of the other coaches, John, who is helping me, he said, she bowls off the wrong foot. And I thought, no, she doesn't. And then I realised I took her still again, because I wouldn't have seen it. Her foot comes off before she bowls. So if you're steady at back foot, at release, this is the catapult. But if you come off in the obsession with the front leg, brace leg, and you come off too early...
It's interesting how it's developed.
I mean, hopefully we can keep on working with Graham over the next few years to really improve that, and maybe by the time he's 15, 16, he'll be breaking into county squads and stuff like that.
If it's a fear that this is going to completely redo my bowling action, you know, it's not a major overhaul. They are minor tweaks, which is really important to emphasise. You know, we are not stripping back and starting again. We're modifying, and you know, we do find that kids are slightly more accepting to change, perhaps, than adults who have taken slightly longer to get their heads around it. But ultimately, anyone that's open-minded can implement this, you know, really quickly.
I think obviously it'll help you bowl for a lot longer, have a longer career and whatnot, knowing that you're unlikely to face these sorts of big injuries that put you out for months on end, and always in the back of your mind they could go at any point. Like going into a season knowing that no matter how much I bowl, I'm unlikely to sustain something like a stress fracture. It's obviously going to help my confidence massively. And also the other bits that Graham does his research on, like certain things in my action that can help me swing the ball late, which is obviously outdoors, can help me get better players out because the late swing's going to cause issues. But yeah, I think it's worth it with the research gone into it. You just got to trust it could be a long process and you'll get the rewards eventually.
So it really appealed to us in that he's teaching him not to get injured, teaching him how to bowl quick, and he is bowling a lot quicker. And you can just see with his bowling now how much more upright it is, and more, I'd say he looks like a bowler. He doesn't look like he's just, you know, a kid trying to bowl. He looks like a bowler more, and looks like a cricketer. It's given him more confidence.
So if I was to say to you, Graham, give me 3 things that describe the rule, what would it be? Like I've just met you and you say, look, I've got this idea, it's the 12 o'clock rule.
Well,
what is it?
I've coached it this afternoon, just giving them an idea. I said, right, your alignment, make sure your alignment's the fine leg.
So
make sure you're in your gather, you're behind, and your arm is...
So alignment, lining fine leg slightly wide run up.
Yeah.
When you gather, your arms going where?
I say to be in the back of the ear, but some bowlers, the further you go, the better it is, because you get your whole...
Turn your shoulder.
Yeah.
And then what?
The thing is, Tom, people don't understand, you get side on in the air, but your feet are still front on. You're running.
Because you're moving forward.
And you're allowed to twist your body. Back flexion is not a...
And would that explain why you would prefer to do your drills and bowling work at full pace?
Absolutely.
Because you believe it's a sequence that needs to unfold at the natural pace.
I had we were doing this afternoon some videoing, and one of the lads, he actually said to me, you can do what you like when you walk through. And I remember you saying to me when early days about walkthroughs, and I tried it. It doesn't work.
Because it's the go-to as a coach. Your go-to is to do walkthroughs because it's easier with everything slowed down.
And you can do what you like.
But I've always stuck with bowlers. If you slow things down too much, you lose the natural rhythm, which is a key word, but also full range of movement.
Well, also you can do what you like. You can do it wrong.
Manufacture it.
You can manufacture it.
So I guess this was just last two things for me, really. With regards to strength and conditioning, how does that come into what you're coaching? Because you've not really mentioned it. So is it important? Do you think that's a vital part?
I think strength and condition is important, but it has to be geared to the 12 o'clock rule. Getting side on, getting flexibility side on. We haven't talked much about the brace leg. That happens naturally if you get it right.
But again, that's bottom half. You're saying we spent time talking about the top half, the bottom half's an after effect.
Yeah.
So I understand why. So S&C though.
They go on about getting from back to front foot as quick as you can. Well, I've proved that is incorrect. But the Achilles and the back does need to be strong because you want the power come from the back foot to the front foot. And one thing that when you're training a physio is the pull. You'll see bowlers just throw their arms about. And I would like to see the rubber bands that they use to pull. This is crucial, weights or whatever you like. That is not touched upon. All they go on about, if you don't mind, is a toilet chain. Well, it doesn't happen because you're in there. One of the things I've found that people think that is dangerous. Well, naturally, if you go in there, the arm will go over there. And as a coach, it's a telltale sign. If your arm ends up towards mid-on, it tells me there's something seriously wrong with your action.
So what are the success stories of the rule? So have we got any testimonials or any real success stories of what you've seen? You mentioned your son, and that's great, and that's where the rule started out.
As you know, Tom, I've had throughout the winter 20...
Lots of individual bowlers.
A lot of individual bowlers. Some
are they all fit?
Whatever.
Are they all fit now?
Yes, and none of them had a problem.
That's great. So the evidence for you keeping them injury-free is there.
Last year, there was, on your course, one of the coaches, he was extremely sceptical about it. We had it last week, and she came on and she said, I had this bowler, I've done this, fantastic. So what I'm pleased about is the rule is getting out there for coaches. Anyone can do it. And to a degree, if they look at what we're saying, Mum, Dad, anybody can coach it.
I would really recommend the programme, working with Bespoke Cricket, working with Tom Flowers and working with Graham with his 12 o'clock method. It's not only great coaching overall, but they have specificities like the bowling and especially the 12 o'clock method, which, like I say, has really helped, and I can only see more improvement. We've only been working with it for a short period of time, but he's come on leaps and bounds, looking forward to the season ahead and the years ahead with coaching from Tom and his team.
I'd highly recommend using the 12 o'clock rule to help you prevent yourself from injuries and unlock the next level of your bowling and hopefully push yourself on. I mean, there's always still more to be learned and whatnot, but I think we got to a point where my actions in, as Graham would like to say, a safe space where I'm unlikely to get stress fractures with the way I pull. So it's just adding the little bits here and there that's going to help me unlock the extra speeds and hopefully push me to the next step in my career.
Yeah, ultimately I would recommend Graham's 12 o'clock rule to anyone that wants to bowl quicker, swing the ball more and stay injury free.
That's why I like what you've shown me over the couple of years, and what I've been involved with is that you've made it really accessible, and hopefully with the clips you've seen today and the videos that we've got, it reinforces that. What are the hopes for the rule then going forward? What is your vision for how you want this rule to now develop and
Well, I
future of your research, I guess? What is
I may well not be around, but I hope that it's out there, because it will save over 90% of serious injuries, and there shouldn't be any stress fractures at all. It's highly possible and not inevitable to have a safe action. And I hope that coaches will coach it, and strength and conditioning people will help the coaches, not the other way around. In my view, there are too many strength and conditioning coaches who think they could coach bowling. They can't. They think they can. They cannot coach it. But is it important? Yes. Do they need to do all the exercise? Well, it'll help. But the best strength and conditioning coaching there is by bowling. I won't name names, but there is a bowler who is doing lots of work on bowling, and he says he never had an injury in 16 years of bowling because he played rugby, he did all this and all the rest of it. But I found he has the perfect action. His hand was behind in the gather and he pulled perfectly, but he doesn't know he did it. Unless you know you did it, you can't do
benchmark it.
Yeah,
Graham,
can I have one final thing?
Yeah.
You said the future. I want every bowler or cricketer to be able to coach themselves. All I'm doing is giving them the tools for the job. So they know they can put, oh, you're telling me this, I know that's wrong. So they can put those noises around and they can look after themselves.
I mean, it's fascinating, Graham, sort of concluding with that point that, you know, you're looking for that legacy of how you see the rule impacting generations to come. And I think there's sort of an ironic sentiment underpinning that, which is you've had to go even further back than most of the current research we're presented with as level 3 or even level 4 coaches, yet you've been willing to go and dig a bit deeper with a bit more effort and put the time in. And in a way, it's led you to where we are now, which is fascinating because I think the conclusion I've got is by you putting your neck to go further back in time with your research has meant that effectively we could have a solution that's got a lot more longevity further into the future. And that's one thing I've taken that I've been inspired. So I just wanted to thank you for your time today, Graham, with explaining the rule. I think it's been fascinating. I certainly have really bought into your research and your ideas and how this has worked. It's something that I actively encourage and encourage my coaching team to do as well, which obviously includes yourself. And I want to just thank you for your time and I do wish you all the best for the rule.
I'd like to thank you, Tom, for giving me the opportunity. I came with something 3 years ago. And you said, okay, but you play the devil's advocate and say, you get it right, you do this and that. And I'm obsessional, so I'm a perfectionist. So I kept going and going and going. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity of coaching again in the passion that I have.
Thank you, Graham. Thanks for your time today, Graham. Appreciate it.